get your picture taken?
To celebrate cheeseburger time at McDonald's, Ronald was taking pictures of all his friends.
Okay. Now smile and say cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger.
Very good. Here's a cheeseburger for you.
Cheeseburger.
Very good. Here's a cheeseburger for you. If you want something to smile about, just say cheeseburger at McDonald's.
And if that scary clown doesn't make you want to stop saying the word cheeseburger, nothing will. I could do a video on nothing but weird McDonald's adverts, and there are loads. Creepy, creepy Ronald McDonald. Okay, you got me there. McDonald's, for all intents and purposes, is great. Yep, I said it. Who cares about the long-term effects? For only £2, you could be literally happy for seconds. And when it comes down to marketing themselves, McDonald's is right up there as one of the most recognisable companies in the world. If you live in London, you know the saying, you're never more than 10 feet away from a rat. And I suppose you could say the same thing about a McDonald's restaurant. However, unlike companies like Disney that actually have a proper good mascot behind them that all kids can relate to, McDonald's have these characters. Sunday, Grimace, the Hamburglar, Birdie the Early Bird, the Fry Kids, Mayor McCheese, Officer Big Mac, Captain Crook, the Professor, Uncle O'Grimacy, the McNuggets Buddies, Cos MC, I Am Hungry, and of course Ronald McDonald. I bet he didn't realise the McDonald's universe was that big. Well, as you would expect, it wasn't long before the evil heart attack inducing clown got his own game. And today on Slope's Game Room, we're going to look at the Ronald McDonald Trilogy. So here we have the Japan exclusive Donald Land for the Famicom. And just looking at the cover, it can't be that bad, right? Well, let's start up the game. Nice spelling, Data East. Okay, so there's nothing really here saying that it's a McDonald's game. Where's Ronald Jesus! Yes, thank you, Ronald. We've already done the introductions. Just going to speed this bit up a bit. Ooh, it's getting sinister. It's time to moonwalk on to the first stage. Good luck? Good luck with what? Okay, so here we are, a very obvious style game from the late 80s. And I'm sure you'll all agree, the game actually looks pretty damn good. What you're actually meant to be doing here is anyone's guess. The guy we saw at the beginning, because, you know, lightning and stuff, is obviously the sinister guy in the game. But what he's actually done is beyond me. Anyway, Ronald goes around town dropping bombs at Hamburglers. And he walks through the pretty well drawn out town. Eventually you go up against the woodpecker, which you kill with a well timed bomb. And boom, let's go to McDonald's. Here you are in McDonald's where you can play some mini games. Okay, I will try to play the game. Thankfully, just like Alex Kidd in the rock paper scissors section, the answers are always the same. But thankfully it's not a big part of the game, it's just a little mini game for getting extra lives and such. So after you buy some more bombs from your friendly McDonald's cashier, we go to Lakeside World, where you drop bombs on dinosaurs. The game continues in the woods where you go up against Kenny here throwing projectiles at you. Then we go to Forest World where you save one of your friends, Sky World where you fight a dragon, Oasis World where you fight the bones of a snake I suppose, then it's Cave World where you free Grimace from being possessed. Then you got Pond World. Are you seeing a theme here? In Pond World you go up against this thing. Here is Harbour World where you fight a zombie captain. Then it's Ocean World, an underwater level, because you know, all 2D platformers need one of these. It's a bloody long level, and eventually you end up finding a sunken ship, which apparently has no water inside it. Here you fight the giant octopus and save the real captain. And moving on we have Ghost Town World, where you kill, surprisingly enough, ghosts with bombs. Dark Forest World follows, and you fight what can only be described as an angry ulcer. Personally, I'm more scared of the tree. Looking in the background, I bet you can guess where we're going to next. Castle World. And in Castle World, you firstly fight Thing from the Addams Family, a vampire hamburglar hybrid, and finally the evil clown you saw at the beginning of the game. And boy, is he ugly. You defeat him and walk onto a big square that says Hero on it. Congratulations. Okay, so looking back, other than the fact that the game is pretty damn difficult having to throw your bombs at the exact right angle to hopefully land on a baddie, makes the game seriously hard. But with that said, Ronald Land is really not a bad game at all, and it's definitely worth picking up if you ever get the chance and see it. The enemies sure all look a bit obscure, and hell, it's hardly anything to do with Ronald McDonald at all. But it looks great, it plays well, and I don't know, it's just a surprise to me that a McDonald's video game plays this well. Let's hope this trend continues as we move on to Ronald McDonald's second game. This one came out on my favourite console, the Genesis, aka the Mega Drive, and it was called McDonald's Land Adventure. Even though I never had this game growing up as a kid, I've got to say I picked up the case over and over again whenever I was shopping for new games. For me, it just had that sort of Rainbow Island feel about it that really grabbed me. But for whatever reason, I always ended up picking up something else. And you know what? Even though it's 20 years later, let's finally give this game a go. Now for me, when I look for new retro games to play, one of the first things I do is look at the developers behind it. Let's see what these guys have done before. Treasure. This company back in the day was sort of a force to be reckoned with. They pumped out some absolutely mind-blowing games. And right in between the fantastic Gunstar Heroes and Dynamite Headdy, they surprisingly released McDonald's Land Adventure. So far so good, let's take a look. Okay, so the game is simple enough. Ronald McDonald, who's looking spiffing by the way compared to the Famicom game, has found a part of a treasure map, so decides to go on a quest to find the rest of the pieces needed to complete it. And that's your story. Let's play the game. Straight away, I think it goes without saying, the game looks pretty damn good. The levels all look bright and colourful, and Ronald himself looks like quite a big sprite. That might not sound like a lot now, but back in the day, if a character was really big, I don't know, it just gave off a sort of impressive feeling to the game. So Ronald this time is not throwing bombs, but instead he shoots magic at everything that moves. He also has this scarf extender thing, because you know, he's a clown, and this helps yourself pull yourself up to other platforms that you wouldn't have been able to reach just by jumping. If you think looking at this that the game plays quite well, then actually, you're right. McDonald's Land Adventure is actually a hell of a lot of fun to play. The music from the game is also really good, and one thing I do have to say is that the first level, I don't know, it just screamed Green Hill Zone to me, which I didn't really take too much attention to, because you know, a lot of 2D first level stages have that sort of green effect. But when I got to this stage, that was it. I couldn't get Sonic the Hedgehog out of my mind. The music in this bit just screams Boss Man Sonic. Is anyone else getting this vibe? Anyway, the level continues until you go up against some healthy food, which, I'm sure you'll all agree, fits the McDonald's theme. And here we are in stage 2. There is absolutely loads going on here. Just look at this. If you're a fan of old school good platforming, you can't go too far wrong with this game. Anyway, you eventually make your way to boss man number 2, who's basically a mechanical banana. God damn it, Ronald didn't like his fruit and veg. Moving on to stage 3. Hardcore platforming continues as you appear to be on a pirate ship and eventually a sunken pirate ship. Ah, look, it's Grimace. Don't fall for that, Ronald. Gems don't make you feel better. Oh, actually they do. Anyway, as you'd expect, once you've defeated this massive mouth, you finally get the final quarter of the map. And for some weird reason, magically, the now complete treasure map changes to a completely different picture of what is apparently the moon. So, logically, Ronald gets into his McDonald's spaceship and goes into orbit with all his friends. The ship crash lands on the moon, all of his McDonald's friends get stranded, and he's off to go find someone to fix it. You eventually go up against this pretty cool looking UFO with a big green head, Eventually Ronald gets abducted by aliens while he's on the moon, and you exchange more jewels to save your friends. And then you go up against this bloody hard but awesome boss. And once defeated, you finally get to see what the treasure is. Yep, it's a rainbow, which takes you back to Earth. What a waste of time. Okay, so there we go. That's 2 games out of the Ronald McDonald Trilogy. And so far so good for Ronald McDonald video games. Wouldn't it be great to end this series on a 3rd entry to make the perfect trilogy? Well, here we have Ronald the Magical World for the Game Gear. Okay, so firstly, I just want to point out that this game, just like Ronald Land, was only released in Japan. Why? Well, it was probably due to the fact that the game came out in 1994, and in most parts of the world, the Game Gear was dying an abysmal death. Plus, the far superior looking game we just talked about came out about a year before. So why bother, right? Well, let's have a look at the game. The story goes like this. Ronald's friends find a box. The box says don't open. They open it, get sucked into a magical world by a guy called Mr. Joke, and Ronald comes along to save the day. It's a good thing the gameplay is good in these games, because the storylines are abysmal. And although, yeah, obviously I much prefer Ronald's look in the recent games, this game's really good. So the game has 4 stages with an extra 4 stages within each one, so that's 16 levels in total. Not bad, not bad. The gameplay is a very obvious 2D platformer, slightly more basic than before, but all in all, it stands up pretty damn well. Sure, there's a lot more in-your-face McDonald's branding in this game, but come on, it is actually a McDonald's game, so that's fine in my eyes. Ronald this time doesn't use bombs, and he doesn't use magic, but instead he has this trusted umbrella to either smack enemies or slightly glide. It's basic platforming 101 with very basic and obvious themes. But when it's done as well as this, you can't knock it. Looking at all 3 games, I've got to admit that I actually think this one is probably my favourite in the whole trilogy. And that's quite a tough call because the Mega Drive game is brilliant too. It's hard to believe, but the Ronald McDonald unofficial trilogy of games are all excellent, getting better and better as time goes on. Now I'm not going to go through each level here as they're pretty much the same sort of themes as the ones in the Mega Drive, with a few variations here and there. There's a couple of mini games in there that are about as forgetful as my Gremlin episode, and Ronald is still completely anti those pesky tomatoes. God damn that healthy food. But all in all, this game on the Game Gear, I'm going to say is probably one of the best hidden gems that I've played on the Game Gear. Go out of your way and try and find this game. Like I said, it's a Japan only, but the Game Gear is region free. Although, I will say that the game's become quite a rarity. So if emulation's your only way to go, then you get Slopes Game Room's approval anyway. So there you go, 3 games, a trilogy if you will, about the world's most popular clown. If you're able to play any of them, like I've already said, it's definitely worth your time. So, that's it, right? That's the end of McDonald's video games. Well actually no, because Ronald McDonald was not the only McDonald's character mascot out there. And there was sort of another McDonald's trilogy that came out. But who is it, I hear you ask? Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. As you've already seen, this is part 1 of a 2-part video, so be sure to check back next week where we're going to look at another McDonald's trilogy, plus quite a few more McDonald's games. But until that time, you've got a couple of links up here that I think you may like. You've got the top 10 Sega IPs that never got sequels, 10 Sega games that should, but never did get any sequels. In the middle, you've got Sega's first ever mascot that you never knew. No, it's not Sonic, and it's not Alex Kidd either. And finally, 100 facts about Mario. Some you may know, but I'm pretty sure if you watch this, there'll be at least some on there that you've never heard of. Come and find me on Twitter and Facebook by searching for Slopes Game Room. If you haven't subscribed yet, there's a lovely little subscribe button there, and that big P shape right in the middle of the screen is to come and check me out over on Patreon, where you get to see my videos roughly about a week early. This is DJ Slopes signing out, and hopefully, I'll see you all next time.